What's going on there, YouTube? The Angry Ranter here for the second of the TARV vlogs. First off, I want to show you my brand new I Love AirPods t-shirt. I think this is fantastic. Picked it up as support for one of my favorite tech YouTubers, Talos of Tech. That's one of my top ones where I get a lot of my updates and I listen to his podcast and all that sort of stuff. And also, this points out, as a way to kind of move forward from yesterday's vlog where we talked about a few of the AirPod problems, just still wanted to show that I'm still in full support of the AirPods. And actually, on that note, because yesterday's video was an Apple-related and sort of a tech-related video, I'd also like to take today's rant to kind of have a second to continue on that tech topic and explain why I will probably never go back to an Android phone. So I know that this is only my first iPhone, this one here. But at the same time, I have found that there are a lot more benefits to having an iPhone than there are to having an Android phone. Sure, Android phones are a little bit more customizable than iPhones. I can move the icons wherever, and they don't just have to stay in sequential order. I can toss widgets onto the home screen, but really all that crap is just filler. It's stuff that really helps to make you feel like the phone's value is being augmented, but realistically, it's not worth it. Sure, I'm not a world-class photographer or anything. And some Android phones, much like, of course, the iPhone XS, XS Max, and XR, you know, like the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, has great cameras. You know, I think the Google Pixel 3 has a wide selfie cam on the front, which is far better than what I've been trying to do. I just asked some of my friends, trying to squeeze them all into frame here in the front. But some new iPhones are coming up with like that kind of new camera setup too. But let's structure this argument a little bit more and give 3 major points as to why I think iPhones are better, and 3 points as to why I will never go back to an Android phone. So let's start with the iPhones. First off, yes, you pay a higher price, but I feel you're getting a higher quality product. When I hold Android phones in my hands, they feel cheap and made of crappy plastic or some sort. And, you know, when I drop the phone by accident, the back pops out and the battery pops out. It feels cheap to me. Like, it feels like some sort of early 2000s gimmick, where we all used to, you know, drop TV remotes and then the batteries would pop out. That's what an Android phone feels like to me. But when I hold an iPhone whose battery is safely held within the casing, it's not popping out when I drop the phone. Number 2. Apple does not come out with 500 bajillion phones a year, 99% of which are complete garbage phones. Android-based phones from makers like Samsung and LG and Huawei and all this and that, they have their flagships. They have their S10s and their Note 10s, but then they also come out with 500 other phones, mostly between Samsung and LG, where they're complete trash. They're meant for people who can't afford the top-of-the-line phone, can't afford the yearly upgrade, and, of course, along with that, they make those phones without the up-to-date operating system on it. If the most up-to-date Android operating system is 9.0 Pi or 10.0 something, they also then come out with a few phones that are 8.0, 7.0, 6.0, which I think is BS. Why are you still selling a phone that can't update to a modern operating system? Why do I want to go out and buy a phone that when third-party app developers are releasing applications, I can't download them because it doesn't fit with my software, despite you telling me it's a 2019 phone? It's not a 2019 phone. It's a 2019 shell masking a 2015 phone. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to consumers like that. And of course, that comes to my third point. Apple's operating systems get updated now on a tri-yearly cycle, pushing back, right? As of right now, the iPhone 5S, which came out in 2013, still has iOS 12.2. It and the 6 and the 6 Plus for sure are getting killed off with iOS 13. And the chance also that the 6S and 6S Plus gets killed off. Basically, all the pre-headphone jacked phones will be gone. Potentially come September. But the fact that there's that much support means I can buy the newest device and have it for years without it depreciating. And that comes to the first thing about Android phones as to why I'll never go back to them. Their year-over-year value is a 66% depreciation. The Samsung S9, which sold for almost $1,000, is only worth $250 now. Whereas the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 8 Plus has only decreased by about $100, maybe $150 in value. I find iPhones depreciate only at 10% of their year-over-year value until they're no longer supported by iOS. Then it's 50% year-over-year. Whereas Samsung phones depreciate by two-thirds of their friggin' value every year. Essentially, a year later when the new one comes out, it's completely worthless. Why? Because Android refuses mass updates across the board. Samsung might come out with an update. LG might come out with an update. But that's only for the specific phone pieces. That's not for Android. I've had Android phones where literally within 6 months, I couldn't download new apps because no longer supported on this. But it was a new phone. But it was one of the cheaper ones. I'll admit to never having had a flagship Android phone, but I'm not shelling out the cash for some hunk of plastic cheap garbage. Second reason why I'll never go back to an Android phone. Again, that they feel so cheap. They break so easily. Whereas, like the XS and XS Max are so durable. I've heard and seen of so many videos where people drop those phones, no damage. I have my 6S in a case, and in the 6 months that I've had this phone, I've dropped it about 15 times. No damage whatsoever. And it's not like it's a fully protective case. I'm not even using a screen protector. No scratches on the screen. I'm taking care of it. Shouldn't be rough with your phones, especially if they're flagship. It means they're expensive. And that's another thing. Samsung, the reason I will never go back to an Android phone is because Android companies always try to jump the gun on these new trends, like foldable smartphones, for example. Samsung and Huawei, and Energizer, actually, all coming out with foldable smartphones in 2019. World's not ready for that. I think one day we will be. I think one day there'll be a market for phablets. But I'm not spending $2,000 on a foldable phone that'll get a nice little crease down the middle, when I could spend that $2,000 on an 11-inch 2018 iPad Pro with 256 gigabyte internal, keyboard, and Apple Pencil 2. All for under $2,000 plus Apple Care. Your move, Android. Your move. Alright, so that's it for today's vlog, folks. Thank you for watching. Don't hesitate to like and subscribe down below. You can follow me on Instagram at TheAngryRanter2019. Follow me on Twitter at Levy_Marcus. And check out the podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. The Angry Ranter Show. All available for free, of course. So, I will see you tomorrow for tomorrow's rant. I'll be thinking it up while I'm at work. Alright, guys. Peace out until tomorrow.